Hi, welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, well, it's been the best week in RC in years. There's so much going on, and I'm going to try and cram it all into this video. So we've got projects coming out of my ears left, right and centre, loads of news, loads of new kits, and we're going to kick off with this. First, it's the RC10 T2, all the way back from 1995. So we're going to dive into this. I've done a few updates on it, so we'll go over all aspects of this, and then I'm going to try and cover every other project that's currently dropping right now. Yeah, there's so much to do. I need to crack on. Anyway, stay tuned. Hit it, Charlie. So we've got a lot to get through, but first we're going to dive into this beauty RC10 T2. Now this was gifted to the show by Matt, so a massive thanks to him. Now if you've been watching the show for a while, you know that I kind of got into my RC10s. You can see them all here. Now originally the plan was to get from a Gold Pan car all the way to a B4, and I've pretty much done that. I don't have a B4 or 4.1, but that's what I'll plan to add last. I'm just waiting for a nice one to come up, especially a team car, but I've pretty much got them all. Now they're not all finished, so that's an ongoing process. Now I've always wanted to get into the stadium truck versions, but of course it's like going down a road. Once you start, it can get very expensive and very challenging, especially in the UK. These are very expensive and very rare and hard to restore. So thanks, Matt. But so the plan is, yes, I would like to go from maybe an RC10T up to maybe an RCT4, maybe. We'll see. Now the RC10T came out in 1991 and was based on the Gold Pan chassis. They took that and they basically modified it to turn it into a stadium truck. Now that only ran for 1 year under kit 7001. Then they kind of refined it a little bit, and then they did two other versions. They did a sport version, which was 7011, and then they did a team kit, which was 7014. Now that ran on to 1995 before we got this, the RC10 T2. Now there was two variants of this version. There was the sports version, which came out on 7012, and the race version, which was 7036. Now that came out and ran till 1997 before it was replaced with the RC10 T3. Now the RC10 T3 had three variants. It had 7003, which was the basic version. Then we got the 7013 Sports and 7037, which was the team car, the top of the range one. Now it did get a mild upgrade in 2000 with a ready to run and an ARR, and then that ran till 2003. So if you look at the three, the RC10T did basically 4 years in slight changes. The RC10-2, which is this one, was only out for 2 years before being replaced with the RC10-3. Now the RC10-3 basically ran from 1997 all the way to 2003 before the RC10-4 came out. RC10T4 came out in 2003, and that was on two kits, 7020, which was the team kit, and 7021, which is the RTR. Then it goes on and it gets even more complicated because they brought out a special edition, they brought out an RTR, a factory team, and a race spec. So I'll stop there, but I'll put a link in the description of all the other versions. There's a brilliant website that's got all the information on this if you'd like to know more. Otherwise, we're going to be here forever. Now the RC10T2 came in two flavours that I touched on earlier. There was the more entry level version, which was 7012. Now that came with a brushed motor, a mechanical speed controller and bushes. Now the more raced focused version, which was 7036, basically came with no electronics, but you got one piece rims, a bit like the ones I've got here, and it came with bearings. And also the dog bones were removed and it had universals fitted in the rear. Now this one, I think, is that version, as it does have universals on the rear, it does have bearings, but it is quite difficult to tell. But being that it doesn't seem to have any marks where the mechanical speed controller went on the chassis itself, I think it's the later kit. Both kits came with the stealth ball diff transmission as standard. Now, like I said before, the chassis was changed to this alloy chassis, and one thing you can notice on the sides is they're chamfered away, and the idea of that was that as the body rolls, it would actually give you better clearance than the Gold Pan standard one that was on the T. Now, since this arrived, I have managed to get a bit of tinkering time with it, and I've managed to clean up the body a little bit, sort out the edges, put a few more decals on, and do some more detailing to it. It's come up pretty good, actually. There's no real cracks or anything like that. Now, apparently this is an original body, but I would really like to get another body to actually send it off to a pro painter to do the box art for it, as they look amazing. And that's where the first problem comes. Now, these are really difficult to restore regardless, but I think after looking into my research a little bit that the RC10 T2, being that it was only out for 2 years versus the first one being basically 5 years and then the T3 being out even longer, this is the one there isn't that many of them. Now, getting a replacement body is kind of tricky, and it's a bit difficult for other reasons. Now, the main issue is when you look at the T2, the T3, the T4, they all kind of look close. But unfortunately, the bodies are not that interchangeable, because the main issue is that the back of the body hugs the suspension and the tower. And every chassis is slightly different, so you can't just swap over the bodies. Now, it actually came with a RC10T body, but this doesn't fit because of this section here being too small versus this one. So swapping over the bodies, even though they look close, they don't fit. So now this will fit on an RC10T, but it won't fit on this one. Not without a lot of modifying and messing about anyway. Also, which was some really good news, is that J Concepts actually do reproduction bodies of these RC10Ts, and they use the original bucks that they've got off Team Associated as an agreement, which is brilliant, right? Apart from the one that I need. Now, currently for sale in the UK and quite cheap, you can pick up an RC10T body, basically like this one, for like 20 odd pound. Then you can get an RC10T3 one. Yep, beautiful, comes with all the decals and everything. You can also get an RC10 GT, I think it is, which is the Nitro version. Yep, you can get one of those as well. But none of those fit on this. And you can't get an RC10 T2 body. J Concepts did make one, but they seem to have discontinued it, and there's just none anywhere. None in America, none in the UK. So, the only choice that I've got is to go to Team Blue Groove and get one of theirs. That one doesn't look too great. I think it's been taken off of another body, and the detail is not really there. Now, this body is lovely, but because it's all swoopy lines, it's very easy for it to start to lose its detail. And I think I'm not too sure whether I want to go down that line. So if you've had a RC10 T2 from Team Blue Groove, let me know how you got on with the body. What did you think? Could you still see the doors, or did it look a little bit soft? From the images, that's basically what it looks like. So if I'm going to get one of those, pay all that money, then send it off to a pro painter and then not be happy with it in the first place, I just won't bother. Another thing with this one that was desperately needed was the rear transmission. The stealth transmission that was in this was really notchy. And clunky, yeah, it was really bad. Now, Matt had actually tried to get into the stealth transmission, but these 4 screws had all started to round off. Luckily for me, though, I didn't find them too difficult to get out, so I managed to get them out and then get access to the stealth transmission. Luckily, after I dismantled the transmission, it just had bits of grit and sand in it. Pretty sure this has been to the beach, as there was bits of sand inside underneath the actual chassis where the stealth transmission clamps to it. So I serviced it a little bit, put it back together again, and now it is running much smoother. So no issues with that. But while I was in there, I found that the actual spur gear was actually fitted the wrong way round, and the two bolts that go through and hold it to the plate were a little bit too long, so they were gouging into the other side of the plate. That's not good, and obviously that's going to make it notchy, and it's damaging the diff itself. So I flipped it back round again, but then I found that the bolts are still a little bit too long, so I put some extra washers in, and that fixed the problem. So I'm not sure if those bolts are original or not. I'll have to measure them up. So that's fixed now, so it's not the end of the world, but the challenge is that the diff pad in the RC10 T2 is this little tiny round circular one. Not the easiest to find, and the one that's in this is pretty much worn out, it's rock hard from age. So I have a plan. Being that the transmission on this looks like it's done a good few miles anyway, well, L&L models sell a whole stealth transmission, so as soon as I've got some more funds, I'll buy that one and then I'll fit it into this. My plan is, what I'll do is I'll take the stealth transmission case from this one, and I think I can open it up and swap that over, put all the brand new internals in it, and then put it in this, thus updating the transmission to a much stronger one that uses a much larger slipper pad. Some other things I noticed, it's got the wrong servo mounts, so I've got to source some of those. I did have a spare Tekken vintage ESC, so I fitted that into this car as it kind of matches the decals that I fitted. I also went over the front suspension. There was no oil in the front shocks, so I sorted that out while I was at it. And I fitted a brushed reedy motor. I've just got to solder it up, but it kind of fits this truck. As things are really busy at the moment, I'm not sure when I'm going to get back on this one, but at the end of the month I will buy the stealth transmission and fit it in. My only other problem with these is they're so wide, storage is a bit of an issue because they don't fit on the shelves, so I'm going to have to come up with another storage solution. Right, I think that pretty much covers everything on the RC10 T2, so let's turn our attentions to something else that's really exciting. Oh yes, look, look, look. Oh, super chuffed, probably the release of the year. Didn't this come out in 2023 or 2024? I'm pretty sure it's 2024, right? Now, the first batch have arrived in the UK and they went out and they were all sold out instantly. Now, I wasn't getting one of the first batch. Yeah, well, being that I've got so much other stuff, I couldn't just buy everything. The bank manager would kill me. So I'd kind of reserved myself to the fact that I couldn't get one of these in the first batch. Well, that's fine. I'll push it down the road and I'll get it on the show when the second batch come late February, I think it's going to be. Well, that was until Paul contacted me the other day and said, hey Gav, I see you're commenting saying that you're not getting this on the show, but it's such a big release. Do you want mine? So of course I said, well, yeah, if you don't mind, and I'll replace it on the next batch. So he said, yeah, sure, no problem. So massive thanks to him that I can get this on the show sooner than I thought. And the plan, not only am I going to build this will not be a shelf queen, I'm actually going to take this Noob Goes Racing. Yes, we're going to take this and we're going to go racing, vintage racing at the local RC track. Bit different. So I'm really excited. There is a little thing I'm a bit worried about. In the manual for this, it gives the stats of what motor you should put in this. But I was planning on running a 10.5, and it says in the manual that you need to run much weaker motors than that. So I need to do a bit of research on it because I do plan on running this. So let's just hope that it can actually run down to a 10.5 brushless. I don't see why not, because all the diffs and everything are from a much newer one. So yeah, anyway, I'm sure we'll figure it out as people start taking these vintage racing. So I'm not unboxing this in the video, just giving you a heads up. It's definitely coming to the show and I'm going to build it up. I'll do a whole detailed build and I'm going to paint it up box art. And yeah, made my week. Next is these, and I am blown away. I've become a massive fan of the Senton. Now, if you haven't seen, I went to a skate park and did a video where I bashed the living daylights out of this one. And I was so impressed with it. Considering how much I leaned on it, I broke one tyre and the front bumper. Well, those parts have arrived from Rochester, so I fixed it. It's all up and running again. But I saw they did an entry-level boost version, and this was like $189 for a ready to run, including a battery and a charger. So I thought I'd get it on the show so I can see what it's like as an entry level, because if it's anything like this, especially from a toughness point of view, this could be a brilliant starter for a youngster where you're not too worried about it and you're not going to have to worry about fixing anything because it's so strong. Also, I didn't really plan on having two Sentons. I'm going to keep this one for myself as I'm going to do some modifications to it. But this one, I decided to raffle it off. But I thought a much better thing to do would be to raffle it off at a zero profit. What do I mean by that? It means every penny that this raffle makes, I'm going to reinvest in the upgrading it. Arrma does lots of different upgrade options for the Senton. So the idea is you buy an entry level one, and if you get into RC and as you grow, you can upgrade this. So you can upgrade this to make it four-wheel drive easy enough. You can put an electronic upgrade into it. You can make it basically as fast as this one. You can put alloy diffs in it. You can do all kind of different updates. So what I thought would be fun is I'll do an unboxing video and a comparison video with this. Also, I want to do a comparison against the entry-level Slash. But while that raffle is running, I'm going to be very gentle with this one. Any profit that's made over the price that I paid for the kit, I'm going to put into upgrades. So if you're interested in trying to win one of these, I'll put a link in the description, and who knows how far we get with it. It all depends on how interested you are. It'd be nice to make it four-wheel drive and put new electronics in it, but we'll see. So soon there'll be a full unboxing and review of this one and a bit of a comparison with that one. Now, as for my 4x4 one, well, I think I mentioned before that I was going to do a whole body change on it, and Proline did a fantastic body that I was super interested in. It's like a bread van kind of thing. Well, they're super difficult to find in the UK, but I managed to find one. Then I realised that the actual Proline body mounts are almost possible to find in the UK as well. So I ended up buying the body mounts from Hong Kong, so I had to wait for them to arrive, and the body that I paid well over double what it cost because there's none left in the UK as well. But I have it, and I've managed to cut it out. Here it is, and it's a total monster, and I love it. Now, I plan to do the same body livery as what Proline did in their video, as I really like it. It looks very Audi-like. There is a few parts of it that I think I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to copy that bit, so I may have to tweak it a little bit, but I'm going to stick to the same sort of colours, and the block areas, I'm going to do those. If you're interested in doing this, it is expensive, and it is quite difficult to do now, as these parts have kind of come and gone. So it's the Bronco R Proline body, part 3586-00. Now, it also comes with a spoiler, which I've cut out, and a back section that I've got to fit as well and paint up. But to fit them, you need to change the body mounts. So you need part 6375-00. But can you find these in the UK? Good luck. But I just love the look of it, and it looks so good in the Proline video. I thought, yeah, I'm going to do something a bit different. I thought it'd be nice to merge something like where I do all the painting and body making for the Tamiyas, the Kyoshios, merging it with the whole bashy kind of world. So I think what we'll do with this one is I'll paint up the body, then I'll do a few other modifications as well. The suspension upgrade looks like a possible way to go from Proline. A little bit expensive, but may do that next month as well. And then change the wheels and tyres once I've got that. So it's an ongoing project, but I thought I would just show you where I've got to so far behind the scenes, and it's coming along. Wasn't that difficult to cut out, and shouldn't be too difficult to mask up, as it's quite a large body. Now, I'm obviously not going to take it to the skate park, but I want to be able to zoom around on the tarmac and take it on the sort of rough dirt kind of thing without actually rolling it over. So there you go, there's a little update on the Sentons, and then coming to RCKicks soon. Now for some juicy news, and I know you like your breaking news, especially stuff that's a little bit maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Now, there's a lot of information kind of flowing to me now from America about Team Associated RC10s. So what I'm about to tell you, I haven't managed to confirm it, so take it with a pinch of salt, But I hear a lot of rumours about the RC10 Gold Pan coming back. Now, if you think about it, it makes total sense. Now, Team Associated released the RC10cc not that long ago. And I think this was done as a bit of a last minute thing. Now, I'm pretty sure that Team Associated decided to redo all the molds for the RC10 to bring it out. Now, the last thing they do before they actually go into manufacture is they do it in clear just to test the flow of the materials, make sure there's no air bubbles or any issues and things like that. And some bright spark at Team Associated went, hey, that looks really cool. We should just release it. And also, I think they released a few photographs of it and it got a massive response. And then they're like, hey, yeah, let's do that. Because Team Associated have been out of the rere market for quite a while now. And I don't think they realized just how big it's got. So this, love it or hate it, and a lot of you like this and a lot of people hate it. Very Marmite car, that's for sure. Personally, I absolutely adore it for a few reasons. One, it looks stunning. Yes, you can't take it out and bash the living daylights out of it, but it gets Team Associated back into the vintage market. It shows them that it's grown massively since they did the last Gold Pan and the World's Car, which I think they were just too early on. But this, I think, has woken them up to, hey, wow, things have changed quite a lot. So definitely we kind of knew we're going to see a Gold Pan, and that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that the Gold Pan is coming. Now, I did expect it to be a while longer. Being that this has come out, you think they would have given it until maybe August time for these to sell as many kits as they can, and then release the news that the Gold Pan is coming out, and then everyone will scramble to buy that as well, whereas this one will then start to go more quiet as they'll kind of dial this out. But I'm hearing rumours about the Gold Pan already, so I don't know. Now, I am hearing a few other aspects that kind of clash with that a little bit, because obviously if you say Gold Pan, it could be quite a few different versions of that. What I mean by that is, yes, it could be the stock kit like the one you see behind me, but also don't forget there was the 1985 J. Halsey IFMA car. That has got its own look and its own style and things like that, so it kind of makes sense to drop something like that as well. Or Masami's 1989 car, that would be a very iconic car and it would make total sense. So if I was Team Associated, what would I do? Well, I would have done the clear just like they have, as you kind of done all the work, so you might as well sell them. And there's a lot of collectors and it was no extra investment for them to bring out that kit and then a Gold Pan. Personally, I would then drop a Gold Pan, pretty standard, exactly like you see behind me. Drop that within sort of 3 to 5 months of the RC10cc sales starting to drop. Then after that, I would start to do the IFMA cars. Out of the two, the J. Halsey 1985 would probably be the first one to do. Then move on to the Masami. A hell of a lot of you are waiting on the Gold Pan. So I think once they drop the Gold Pan, and that's probably the most likely thing we'll see first, that they are going to sell even more of those than they are the RC10cc, which is going to be brilliant because it will drive Team Associated to do even more, which is excellent for us vintage lovers. And last, yeah, this video has been going on for nearly half an hour, so thanks for watching all the way to the end. And it's a bit of a bitter sweet one, and it's this, the Team Associated B6.4. This is my race buggy that's been on Noob Goes Racing. Well, the 7's come out, so I plan on getting the 7. So what do I do with the 6.4? Well, it's going off to a new home. Yes, I'm saying goodbye to this beautiful buggy. I love this thing. Absolutely, it's an amazing buggy. It's been stood on. I've crashed it so many times and I've not broken a single thing. Apart from changing tyres, it just keeps going and going and going. So I'm definitely going to miss this one, but things move on, so I'm going to get my hands on the Team Associated B7 and then we're going to try that out and see if I can go a little bit faster. Now with one going, the sweet is I'm now replacing it with something else, and that is something I've been after for so long when it slipped through my fingers when I let it go before, and that is a 10th Technology's X10. It's the RS version. Now, I did hope it would be here for the end of this video, but it's probably going to arrive tomorrow, and it's coming back to the RCKicks collection. It needs a little bit of work, but the actual chassis itself looks to be in great condition. I think I'll replace the body and then maybe strip it down and rebuild it. But I will have one back in the collection finally. So yeah, with everything else that's just happened and getting a 10th Technology X10 back in the collection, it's made my whole month. Thanks very much. Please like and subscribe. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.